Hi everyone, welcome to episode 6 of our exploration into some of the games that I played during the 2021 Chess.com Daily Championships. This one isn't a particularly good one either. I think there's a bit of a big difference in rating that I think kind of affected this particular game. I'll let you kind of be the judge of this particular game. My opponent played a few sort of mistakes throughout the game that just let me just win the game quite easily. But I'll show you it anyway, and just show you some of the beginner errors that I sometimes see some beginner players make when they play myself. So the game started e4, c5, knight to f3, d6, knight to c3, knight to c6, and everything looks quite normal so far. Bishop c4 is now played, which again is a very odd variation. It's called the Boldler variation. I guess just like in the last video, the challenge with this move is at some point, I'm going to be wanting to play moves like a6 and b5, getting ready for my queen side expansion in these sort of Sicilian structures. And with this bishop being on c4, the challenge with it is that I get these moves in without losing too much time. So it actually helps my attack more with this bishop being on this square. But the first thing I do here, I play e6. Oh no, I put knight to f6 first, sorry. Castles and then e6. So I try and blunt the bishop now. I noticed in a few of my games, again, there was these knight g4 ideas trying to hit the weak f7 square, and e6 just gets rid of all that nonsense. I'm not worried about it potentially blunting my bishop, because, as I say, my plan is going to be to do this. I'll get my bishop onto b7, and at some point I'm going to put my bishop onto e7 and castle, and I've just got a nice, solid, straightforward position. Rook came to e1. a6 was played, and an e5, which I'm not sure is the best decision in this particular game, as now it allows me to do a few exchanges here. So after d takes e5, his knight captured, I captured here, and his rook captured on e5. And at this point, I played my bishop to d6. I've now developed a piece with a gain of time on the rook. So I thought this is nice. Now I move ahead from black. I'm going to be castling next move, and I'm going to be doing just fine. It's interesting here, though, the computer likes also queen to d4 as well. So just forking loads of things here. But white can just barely hold his position together with the move queen to e2. So notice everything is actually defended here. But after which, now I can play bishop to d6. So a bit of a cute move order there that I missed, but certainly my position is no better in the other line. It's not that much worse in the other line. So the bishop to d6. This rook came back to e2. There was a castle, and now my opponent played very odd. Now knight to b1. I just didn't understand this move. I don't know if he was running out of time. Bear in mind, you've got a day time control here, so there's a lot of time, a lot of time to dedicate to playing these games. But yeah, my knight to b1, I just didn't understand this move. White now undevelops a piece. It's essentially giving me a free move to do something. So here I played b5, now hitting this bishop. The bishop came back to d3. And now I'm able to put my bishop onto b7, where it's now influencing. You'll notice these two bishops going down here. There was a missed opportunity at this point. Instead of bishop to b7, bishop takes on h2. There's a nice Greek skiff sacrifice here. So sacrificing the bishop. White is best to move his king to f1 and just lose the pawn. But just to show you, if the king takes here on h2, knight to g4 comes in here, and it's a bit of a disaster for white. If let's say he goes back to g1, this is just terrible, as now my queen can come to h4. I'm going to be dealing all kinds of damage to the white king. He's going to be sort of running all over the board to try and get out of checkmate. So as I say here, it will most likely lead to some sort of mate very quickly. If the move rook here, I can capture this way. The king comes to h1. I can keep throwing in the checks. If the rook came to h3 now, I've got this nice knight fork here. The king is totally exposed. It's going to be a very quick win in this game. Just to show you an example, Just lots of stuff all falling off. I can actually throw a check here just so I get the check, capturing with a check, so I don't have to waste time capturing the pawn. And it's a totally bad position for white. He's down 2 points of material, but most importantly his king is horribly exposed here, so you would have to probably sacrifice some material just to stop any mating ideas. I'm already threatening things like bishop coming to b7 if the king came to here, where I'll be threatening this skewer against the queen. So this is not very good at all. So I did miss that. I think also, just to sort of show you as well, if the king goes out to g3, this is another line. The problem with it is the king is just horribly exposed here. So it actually likes to move f5 here in this position. Now defending this for just the time being. If the queen comes to g1, again, these are sort of the computer moves, throwing these ones out here. E5, now threatening to come with the check. Notice then also that this knight is then defended. There's lots of problems for white to have to deal with here. In fact, it's now declaring that he should need to maybe sacrifice his bishop just to survive this particular game. So those things didn't happen though. As I say, instead I just put my bishop to b7, which I think is an absolutely fine move. I've got developing another piece. I'm now getting ready to start laying some pressure onto these pawns that have got no knights defending it, so definitely not a good thing. So the knight comes back into the game, so welcome back to the game, Mr. Knight. I now put my queen onto c7, now issuing attack again. The computer didn't like this just simply because I had this Greek gift sacrifice that I could have played again. And, well, the knight goes back to b1. So for a moment there, I thought that maybe the knight might come back into the game, but sadly, he jumps back onto b1. The classic briefcase defense, maybe hoping I would go for some sort of draw via repetition. But I've got a very nice win here. So the whole point of all these pawn moves as well, and one of the other plans that I had, was to play the move c4. So now this bishop is actually trapped. He's got nowhere he can go to. I can also take here as well. This is another good move just to win the pawn. But here I just thought I'll go after the bishop now. So now this bishop now sacrifices himself. He does his own Greek sacrifice because there's no other good moves here for the bishop. My knight captured back. Knight to c3, so the knight comes back into the game at last, but it's all a bit too late for white here. I now start piling in here. My queen comes to c6, and now threatening just to capture this. Does my opponent notice it? Well, he plays knight to e4, so actually he does notice it. But now I play f5, now pushing this knight away. I don't want it here, so he's going to lose a knight if he moves it. But he does decide to move it, to put it onto g5, which is just, not a great move. So I now capture here on g2. The king came to e1, and I'm able to deliver a checkmate on g1. So, yeah, again, not a brilliant game to really show you. There's not a huge amount to learn from this. I guess, maybe kind of being objectively speaking, looking for those Greek sacrifices. Sometimes they can be there. But otherwise, a nice win from myself. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon. Take care.